Hello, everybody. Episode 19 of the Sports Spectator podcast. Thank you so much for checking us out. If you're a return listener, thank you so much for coming back to us. My name's John. This is Juan, and I got a great question to start this off with. Juan, tell us what your favorite meal of the week was this week.
My favorite meal of the week. Oh man, we're starting off hot. We're starting it off controversial, huh? This might rustle some feathers because I feel like not a lot of people know this, but my favorite go-to meal, and I would say it was my favorite meal this week, was sweet potato with broccoli and, you ready for this? Liver. I'm a big liver guy.
Ooh.
Yeah, big liver guy.
Liver king.
Yeah. I mean, without the steroids, actually, but like a lot of people sleep on liver, man. It's very nutritionally packed, but people don't go for it. It's very slept on because of the taste. So a lot of the softer people out there will not consume it, but I'm buying stock on liver. It is my favorite. So to answer your question, John, that was my favorite meal of the week.
Nice. I'm glad I asked because I never would have taken you as a liver guy.
But now you know. Now you know. No one's ever asked me that before. You're probably the first, so now you know, bro.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so you're the liver king without steroids. You're the clean liver king.
Yeah. I'm trying. The beard, definitely got a little bit to go. The muscles definitely as well. So yeah, I guess liver king without steroids. That's accurate for sure.
All right. Well, that's a great way to start the episode, and there's another great way to do it where soccer, football. It's alive and well in Miami. Inter Miami and Messi's season just kicked off this week. Start off with a nice win. And we were lucky enough to get invited to the Adidas Football Society event here. And pretty much what it is they do these pop-up events in these major cities. So Miami was the first one. I think they're going to Los Angeles next and New York City and a bunch of these things. And it's this activation with Soccer Bible and like these classic football kit brands. And it's really cool. They just renovated this whole space to make it just a complete vibe. They had all the historic Adidas football boots up, different jerseys, famous Messi jerseys, all the MLS jerseys. It was an amazing vibe. They had the game on the TV, and it was great. So that's open this weekend. If you're listening to this now, it's probably too late to see it, but it was really cool. We got to meet some great people, got some cool interviews as well. And Inter Miami is undefeated. And on top of that, Copa America in Miami. I mean, it's really just kind of electrified the city, at least from my perspective. And as a reminder, Copa America is going to be in Miami. The final is going to be in Miami. I think I asked you this earlier in our podcast, Juan, but I'm going to ask you again. Your Copa America final game in Miami, what two teams do you have?
My Copa America final game. Is it biased if I say Colombia? Is that too biased?
I mean, of course it's biased, but why not? Of course they could do it.
Dude, as all of our listeners know, again, I'm the bare minimum when it comes to keeping up with football. You are definitely like our expert here, our subject matter expert when it comes to football. So for me, that's a tough question to answer. So I'm just giving a pure fanboy response, and I'm saying Colombia is going to be there. Wouldn't it be interesting though if it was maybe like Colombia, Peru, John? Wouldn't that be a good one? I feel like this would be a house divided if we had that one. So you know what? Fuck it. That's gonna be. You know what? Answer your question. Full disclosure. I have no basis on this. Do not ask me to tell you who are the starting players for either team because I will get that question wrong. I am answering this question purely on vibes alone. So my vibe is saying Colombia, Peru. Like I don't even know if Copa America if they have like divisions or if it's like conferences or anything like that. So I don't know how the standing goes. But fuck it. Like that's my final. Yeah, that's the one that it is. Just vibes. I'm writing that on vibes.
For America to come through. So I'll take Peru, Colombia. I'll take Colombia, USA. But I'm pumped for that. And I got my tickets. I'm going to a game, Peru, Argentina in Miami during the group stage. I'm praying to God that your take is right, where Peru gets to the final and it's a good game and Peru doesn't get just absolutely blown out and decimated. Bought a face value ticket, including fees, each ticket in the nosebleed. I'm like 5 rows from the very top. It was $400. So that's nuts.
Dude, but the energy is going to be immaculate on that. I actually, funny enough, talking about Colombia, Peru, I went to a friendly of theirs. I'm pretty sure it was a friendly back in 2019. They played here in Hard Rock. And I just remember the energy for that was just insane. And I had shit tier seats for that game. And it was still just like incredible, man. Just like the energy from both sides. So I think even having those seats there, just the energy, like the absolute atmosphere that's going to be, it's going to be fucking electrifying. So needless to say, I'm very jealous. I'm obviously pulling for Peru, you know. So dude, I don't know what they're saying this, if it's like Vamos Peru or something like that, but I'm
Vamos
all in
Peru,
on them.
see.
Let's go, dude.
See.
Let's go, dude.
Blanca y Roja. Um, but yeah, it's probably Messi's last Copa America, so that'll be lit also. And then obviously Messi has, I mean, there's so many Argentinians here in Miami. So yeah, I agree with you. That's definitely the dream. And it's gonna be nuts. I mean, it's 3 months away. It's in like the middle and end of June. So like this summer here in Miami is gonna be wild.
Has anyone told these
So
guys how hot it gets in June? Because it gets fucking hot. I mean, I guess a lot of them played in Qatar, but technically that was
that's
like
true.
the winter. I don't know if anyone's mentioned to them like how blistering the humidity gets in the summer. Like, I feel like they're all going to get here, they're going to start playing, and they're just going to be like, "Holy shit! Like, we did not think about this." So that's going to be
Agreed.
insane.
It's gonna be hot. They might have water breaks even and just like give people water because it's gonna be nuts. And thank God that game is at night. I think kickoff is at 6:30 p.m. So it'll probably be a little bit light out, but it won't be at least be like the middle of the day.
Yo,
Um,
stay hydrated, please. Like when you go to that. And if you don't
yeah,
plan on staying hydrated, please include me as a dependent on your life insurance.
I'll get you an annuity, Copa America, and I can get like a package deal maybe between Copa America and the World Cup. So it's like a 2-year plan. We'll hook it
Dude,
up.
easy, easy. Okay, dude, this is officially a Peru podcast. I mean, I guess it could be a Peru Colombia podcast, but you know what? Fuck it,
Yeah.
dude. Like Colombia has let me down so much in the past couple of years that I'm willing to kind of root for another South America team. So in the spirit of you being my boy, and your wife being Peruvian, I'm also rooting for Peru all the way. That is, of course, unless they meet, then obviously by default I have to root for Colombia. Otherwise, vamos Peru. Llamas, my second favorite animal, unrelated.
All right, let's ride. Peru Nation, let's ride.
Let's ride.
Yo, we can make a meme where it's like a Peruvian player on a llama, and then like I don't know, just transform it into the Russell Wilson meme. It's like yeah.
Oh,
Anyway,
shit, dude.
um,
Love it.
so besides that, to close out our soccer segment, Inter Miami play Sunday evening versus LA Galaxy. It's gonna be a great game. David Beckham's club, another big name brand in the MLS. So our second game of the season. I mean that stadium is gonna be nuts. I'm sure there's gonna be a ton of superstars out on the TV for that. Wanting to see Messi in LA. So really excited for that. And yeah, I think that does it for soccer. So the Miami Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins. What's going on in this world of aquatic animals growing the
Oh
pigeon
man,
skin?
our favorite marine mammals over here, the dolphins. Yeah, man. So pretty much the biggest headline, unless you've been living under a rock for the past 48 hours, you probably have already seen Xavien Howard has now officially been released. So it was a move that a lot of us saw coming. He's had contract disputes with Stephen Ross and the Dolphins organizations for quite a few seasons. He's been making headlines for the past couple of years, and not necessarily for the best reasons as well. A lot of off-season trouble.
So what
Um,
happens with him? Like, what has he been doing? Like in the off season, like with these bad news things.
So I would imagine him being released now. His contract is effective until the start of the new league year. So I think he's still being given compensation. OTAs don't really start until like a couple months out. So I feel like at this point he's just like he can do whatever the fuck he wants. So he loved this. He frequented strip clubs, so that was his thing. So now he's got plenty of time to go ahead and do that. And he
Is that what
definitely
the
got
headlines
paid.
were? Is
Yeah, a
that what
lot
the
of those
okay.
headlines were that. Which again, man, like, listen, bro, I'm not here to tell anyone how they should be spending their free time. But just seeing him this past season and then seeing him how he was a couple of years back, like he definitely was not his former self. There was one point where he was technically the most skilled player on the Dolphins. And I don't know if that was so much that Xavien Howard himself was like that level of good, or if everyone else on the Dolphins organization at the time was just really that fucking terrible. So I feel like you could really make arguments for both. Personally, I'm going to say that he was pretty decent. I mean, if we look at the stats of how he ended his Dolphins tenure, so he had 8 seasons, 100 games, 29 interceptions, 95 passes deflected, 331 tackles, and 4 touchdowns. Okay? He did get Pro Bowl a couple of times. I think there was like 1 or 2 years where he was actually our only player that got sent to the Pro Bowl from the Dolphins. So honestly, for the longest time, he was like the bright spot on what was, for all intents and purposes, an absolute terrible roster. I mean, my fondest memory of him was, I think, a couple of years back before Tyreek came to the Dolphins. Chiefs were playing Dolphins in Miami, and Xavien Howard had like a one-handed catch against him. That was probably my favorite memory of them. So, I mean, for a while, he was pretty much a lockdown QB. But yeah, this past season, like, he looked fucking washed, bro. Like, he looks terrible out there. He was just getting cooked left and right. I mean, he went one-on-one with the best receivers, and more often than not, he was just getting absolutely destroyed, especially with Jalen Ramsey coming into the picture. His place got taken up. Like, he was older, he wasn't producing. So it made sense that he got released. I'm personally upset that while he still was kind of shitty towards the end of the season, the 5 games or so that him and Ramsey played together, our defense was really good there. So I'm genuinely upset that, obviously, with Ramsey having been injured during the start of the season, we only saw them together for five games. So it was like a what could have been type of situation. So it is what it fucking is, bro. We're still pretty much $30 million or so over the cap limit. So there's going to be a lot of other people that get released. And I think everyone knew Xavien Howard was going to be the best one because his contract was really, really intense. He wasn't producing. So it's not surprising, bro. But that's probably the biggest headline to answer that, to answer your question, John. What were your thoughts on Xavien, John?
Yeah, I mean, I get your point with him not being what he was, but he definitely was the leader and a leader. And I don't know too much into his character. Respect, I guess, that he likes strip clubs. Hey, he's
I get it, bro. I get it. Like, I'm a guy.
He's financing the locals. He's giving back to the community, and it's just his niche of community. But
Supporting
he definitely
local
seemed
moms,
like
single moms. Yeah. I get it, bro.
yeah.
Small bit. Any of them could be small business owners. So you know what? Actually, shout out Xavien Howard, man. Like, he really was, like, he really cared for the community. I will say that, like, supporting hot local single moms, dude. Like, bro, what a guy, bro. Like, he should have gotten the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. Like, what a fucking guy, actually. I take back everything I said. You know what? Yeah, that's gonna be my take. Great guy supporting local business. Thank you, X. Miami appreciates.
Thank you, X. Yo, we should make like our own award like that, where it's like the anti Walter Payton, but still just like a complete like bro athlete. And like we can make like the meme where like we, instead of like the Walter Payton got the jacket, we'll make it like, I don't know, some guy at a strip club like on the couch throwing money in the air. Anyway, X, if we could give that award to you this season, we would. So congratulations. Thank you for your service.
First ballot. You know what? Yeah. We'll give it to him right now. It's been awarded. Congratulations. What a guy. First,
what are we going to call it?
The Sports Spectator.
Xavien Howard.
Xavien Howard. Xavien Howard. No. The Sports Spectator Xavien Exceptional Community Service Award. That's what we're going to call it.
Yes. Well done.
Well done.
Once again.
Congratulations.
We're proud of you.
So proud.
But yeah, that being said, it's not good to lose a player like that. So I think it's going to hurt. But I think, like, yeah, you made the point already where we're going to lose more people. Like, I was looking at this when you said 30 million. I'm like, well, how do we get that below and still make signatures? Does the cap space thing, like, can we get, like, debt? Or, like, how does this work? Like, you can be over the cap, right? And, like, have some.
So this is, I'm not a financials guy when it comes to this. And truth be told, I have not taken the time to look into it, how it works. But you are able to technically start a season being over the cap, but that tends to be a situation that'll come back and bite you in later seasons. So the idea is you want to start the season being like either below the cap limit or I guess like as little as possible over the cap limit. So obviously, like, like organizations are willing to stay over the cap limit if it means taking on the contract of a sensational player. Like the Chiefs, if they were in a situation where they had to go over the cap limit, for example, for Mahomes, I'm sure they would do it. The Rams, I think this was the case for them with like Aaron Donald. Like they stayed over the cap limit to keep a guy like that. Again, you do this for like generational talent players. And as much as I appreciate Xavien Howard's service, he was not a guy that at this point we could call him a generational talent. He definitely at one point was a shutdown corner, but I would say that is no longer the case, man. So yeah, man, I'm definitely gonna have to come back to that one, how it works with the cap space. But there's definitely going to be a lot more releases. I mean, there's a lot of players that I can think of. Mike White, Isaiah Wilson. I mean, shoot, even Christian Wilkins. He might be one that maybe we don't re-sign just to kind of save on cap space. Who knows, man? It's going to be a fucking wild offseason. That's all I know. There's going to be a lot of players that get released. It's going to be crazy. I have a feeling that Miami's going to try and load up during the draft because unlike last year, we're not losing a first round pick this season. So I think that's what's going to happen. But yeah, we're pretty fucked right now when it comes to cap space. I think we're like the third or the fourth worst team when it comes to cap space right now. So we'll see what these guys do. What else Stephen Ross has in mind.
And speaking of, isn't he going to be selling?
Yes, he is. Speaking of financials, yes, he is. Recently, breaking news: he is planning on selling a minority stake into the Dolphins' ownership. But here's a fun fact, bro. Did you know that the Miami Dolphins, currently valued at roughly $5.24 billion, and that's a 29% increase from January of 2023, and it technically makes them the 17th most valuable sports team in the world. And get this, ahead of organizations like Real Madrid. Now, how crazy is that? That's a fact when I first read it, like blew my mind. Because, for example, you can see on Instagram that Real Madrid, like they have millions of followers, for example. But the Dolphins, I think they might be at 1 million. But they in no way, shape, or form, or at least not to my knowledge, have the level of global reach that an organization like Real Madrid has. Like you can probably go anywhere in the world, South America, North America, Africa, Europe, Asia, probably even Australia. And like people know what Real Madrid is. I feel like if you go to like Asia and you ask them like Miami Dolphins, it's like, no, we hunt dolphins. We don't watch dolphins.
We make dolphin soup like in Japan or something.
Yeah, exactly. So when I saw that, I was fucking blown away. Like, dude, shout out Stephen Ross, man. I'm gonna check the old bank account and maybe if I put together a couple bucks here and there, I might be able to throw down for that. Maybe we'll start a GoFundMe. Like the Sports Spectator can be like minority stake owners of the Miami Dolphins. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, we can launch an NFT project and be like, own the part of the Dolphins and then go to jail for securities fraud.
Fuck it, dude. What's more Miami than that? Going to jail for securities fraud for like attempting to buy a minority stake in the city's professional sports organization. That's like a modern day Scarface, if you ask me. I'm about it.
Yeah.
Like, fuck it.
Sounds based.
Yeah,
sounds like we should actually do that.
Extremely, extremely based, bro. But here's a fun fact. Speaking of value of organizations. So I did get curious, being the 17th most valuable sports team in the world, like what other organizations were we more valued at? And the one that I was pleasantly surprised was that the Dolphins are worth more than the Boston Celtics. And that one was incredible. Just another L that we can hand New England, okay? Off the court. We give them L's on the court and now off the court by saying that our franchise is more valuable than their just absolute poverty, charitable organization that is the Boston Celtics. Obviously different sports, but this type of hate runs deep, okay? And anything that we can say that we do better than New England and the city of Boston, like, I love it, bro. Like, I love it.
Yes, and one of the interesting things about the Real Madrid thing that you said is like I feel like the difference of the American sports that makes them so much more valuable is because like it's pretty much impossible to get relegated in a professional American sports league. Whereas Real Madrid, if they have a bad season, like they're out of the top flight because people were making comparisons with like the MLS clubs were more valuable than some of the European clubs, just like you were saying, like not Real Madrid, but like, you know, and yeah, it's because like they're pretty much invincible. There's no way to like get kicked down, so you could buy it and like they could be win no games for years and years and still stay up in the same league. So like Stephen Ross, yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I've actually thought about that. That would be cool if like somehow you were able to get relegated. Like imagine if you came, I don't know, in like last place in your division, maybe like 3 seasons in a row, you got relegated to like the Pac-12 afterwards. I think with the Pac-12 dissolving, that's what it should become. They should restructure it to simply be like a relegation league. It's just like, okay, you came last in the AFC East like 3 seasons in a row. You're now a Pac-12 team, okay, and you have to win the Pac-12 in order to get back into the NFL. That'd be fucking neat. I feel like we should do that.
Yep, that sounds good to me.
Yeah.
The professional NFL players versus these 18-year-old kids in this relegation battle of doomsday.
Yeah, and then the college teams that do really well, like they should get an opportunity to play.
You can finally hear about all those people that ask, like, could the Cleveland Browns beat Alabama?
Yeah, could the 0-16 Cleveland Browns beat National League champions like Alabama? It's just like, bro, no, like no, never. Like you obviously don't you don't know ball if you have to ask that question. Like damn. But yeah, that is a good point.
So how about this Miami Heat game the other night? That was crazy in NOLA.
Dude, I gotta say, we're fucking back. Miami Heat officially fucking back, baby, dude. First game from the All-Star break, dude. And what a more #Heat culture way to kick off the second half of the fucking season against the fraud that is the New Orleans Pelicans. Okay? So yes, to catch up anyone who isn't aware of the news, we beat the Pelicans. I believe it was 105, 106 to 95. Okay, but the biggest headline was that there was a bit of an altercation. Jimmy Buckets specifically attempting to defend his teammate, his colleague, his brother in arms inside the trenches, Kevin Love, apparently put his hands on Pelicans forward Najee Marshall. And because of that, he was ejected from that game, and he has now officially been suspended for 1 game. Okay? And I fucking love this dude. Like, Jimmy, like, the guy just embodies, like, Heat culture, bro. Like, he stands up for his boys. Like, he would probably take a 20-game suspension if it meant defending his teammates. So the fact that that happened, the fact that he got ejected, and on top of that, we beat the Pelicans. We covered the spread, okay? We were technically underdogs for that match and beat them by basically 10 points. Like, that's sensational. And for anyone who is new to Miami Heat basketball, you're probably unfamiliar with the timeline. But the way that Heat basketball works is as follows. First half of the season, we do absolutely nothing. We suck ass. Second half of the season, we start turning it on. And as we start approaching playoffs is when we get really, really good. Okay? Right now, we're technically the 8th seed in the East. So we're still able to make the playoffs as potentially, again, if we don't get any better, as an 8th seed, where we will go against the number 1 seed. And again, as everyone knows, Miami is never favored in the playoffs, and yet somehow we always make a deep playoff run. So we're right on schedule. Like, Miami is getting aggressive again. We're getting violent again. Jimmy starting to kick it up. Again, Spoelstra on a brand new contract. He's divorced. Okay, we've never seen divorced Spoelstra in the playoffs. Okay, now he is fully focused on basketball. So the league, after this game, if they're not taking notice of the Miami Heat, they're sleeping on them right now, because we got divorced Spoelstra and second half of the season Jimmy. It's scary hours, bro. It's fucking scary. Okay, so I'm hyped. But yes, that was the headline. But all I want to say is we're so fucking back, baby.
Fuck Boston.
Fuck Boston. 100%.
Yeah, shout out to that Miami fan also that was at the game in New Orleans who also
dude, yes, he fucking got ejected as well. Like, dude, just so much culture. Like just fucking inject Heat culture into my veins right now. Like, that game was just everything, bro. Like, Jimmy got ejected. The fan got ejected. I think this should start being a thing where every away game we need to have at the very least one fan ejection. All right, and maybe at the end of the season we will give an award for like best fan ejection of the season. But
I
yeah,
like that.
man, Heat culture is fucking back, bro. We are in playoff form. Like I'm betting the entire mortgage on the Heat already. Not that I wasn't before, man. But what are your thoughts, John, on Heat basketball right now?
Um, it sucks that Jimmy Butler. How many games is he suspended for?
Just one, so nothing crazy.
Just one. Oh, it's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel good. I mean, I'm ready to ride the wave that everyone else is riding. As far as like, yeah, it's the second half of the season, things really turn on. I hope your boy Jokic starts to get more minutes. I hope Harrow keeps getting these buckets. And yeah, I mean, basketball at the end of the day is really kind of like your soccer. You're just not going to get. I was trying to find some imagination in my mind, but it's just not coming. So I'm always gonna ride with Miami Heat. It was crazy. I was watching at the bar when that fight broke out. That guy that got kicked out must have been a legend or like the most hated man on Bourbon Street that evening. Because everyone that saw the game definitely recognized who he was. I'm sure.
Oh, dude, he was for sure getting shots. Like people were probably buying him like drinks left and right all over New Orleans, dude. Like that guy is a fucking legend, bro. Like I don't know who it is. I mean, maybe we can figure out how to like track him down and get him on as a guest on the podcast. But yeah, absolute legend, bro. Like, dude, fucking stud, dude. But yeah, man, second half of the season, and this is typically when I start paying a heck of a lot more attention to basketball because this is like when the games start to matter a little bit more. Usually, first half of the season, you got 82 games ahead of you. Again, not every game you're going to play super tough, but typically now is when these guys start getting a little bit more competitive. We start getting a better picture of like who are the true playoff contenders, and who are the people that again we're just kind of putting on a show. So looking ahead at our next five, John, I'm going to put you on the spot. So we got Sacramento Kings, we got Portland Trail Blazers, we got Denver Nuggets, Utah Jazz, and Detroit Pistons as our next five. What's our record on those five? Go.
5-0.
5-0. That's incredibly optimistic of you, John, but I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with you, bro. I
mean, I forgot the Nuggets. Yeah, so I was looking at the standings though, and like pretty much everyone besides the Nuggets are like the bottom half of the table, really, right?
They are, but you also have to remember that we are also the Miami Heat, and we have a tendency to always shit the bed on like a game that we should be winning. So anytime I have a formula that anytime you're looking at any 5 games in the Miami Heat schedule, any scheduled 5 games in the future, you have to take into account that one of them, the Miami Heat, will shit the bed because there's always a trap game in every single Miami game. I personally think we're definitely going to lose against the Nuggets. We're probably going to lose against the Jazz. We should technically beat the Blazers and the Kings, and then the Pistons probably one that we should win, but I wouldn't be surprised if we shat the bed on that one. So I got to be realistic. I feel like my worst case scenario is we go 2-3. My worst case scenario 2-3. My best case we go 3-2 is what I'm thinking.
Wow,
but hopefully you're right and we go 5-0.
The Pistons are the worst team in basketball. That's your trap game, of course.
Yeah, that's my, and I've had that circle on the calendar because they have absolutely sucked this season. But I'm like, I would not be surprised if somehow they got a W on the Heat because these guys come in too cocky sometimes, and like that would be one game that they would like shit the bed for. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we lost that game. That's all I gotta say about that. But hopefully the Heat prove me wrong.
All right, so you got any random questions you can throw my way, non-sport related?
Any random questions? You know what? I'm gonna hit you back with the question you hit me at the start of the episode. John, what was your favorite meal of the week?
Probably the one I had last night. We went to Manta in Wynwood, the Peruvian restaurant, and didn't have like a full meal dinner, but like got 3 different appetizers, and it's just like the food there is just so freaking good. So we had like Parmesan crusted oysters, these like fried pork belly tacos, and like causa tuna tartare. It's just fire. It's just like that's just my favorite restaurant in Miami.
That's fire, dude. So when you have to pay $350 for dinner for 2, was it still worth it? I don't know if the
Luckily,
bill was that much, but that's just how much it feels like every time you go out in Miami. Like that's dinner
yeah,
for two. That's what it runs you. It seems.
literally. Luckily, not. I went with a buddy, and we split it. So yeah, thank God. No, I think it was like came out to like $80 each before tip. So not cheap, especially when you're only eating appetizers. But we had a couple of drinks too. So
Dude, that's
shout out
insane
to
that
Vanta.
only eating appetizers still runs you 80 bucks a person. Okay. Speaking of Wynwood, though, I am happy to report El Patio and Wynwood still a fucking vibe. Okay. So if you're listening to this podcast and you have not been to El Patio, it's still the place to be. Like, I'm sorry. People said El Patio was washed and they're not
Wow,
familiar
shame
with
on
its
them.
game. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll never
It's
be receiving the Sports Spectator Xavien Howard Exceptional Human Award.
no, sir, because they are on top of their game. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But yeah, man, we still got a lot of off season ahead of us. This sucks, and I hate it. But you know what? Football will be here back again before we know it. I'm excited about the draft. But yeah, man, there's going to be a lot more bodies that get dropped during this off season. So we will be covering it here at the Sports Spectator.
Something to be optimistic about with football is that the college football game will be out this summer, I think.
Yes, EA NCAA 25. You're
It's gonna
right,
be
bro.
nuts. We're all gonna be just. I mean, did you play that game a lot back in the day?
I played it a little bit, but full disclosure, I wasn't. I think when they were still making copies of it, I wasn't as much into college football as I am now. So I really didn't appreciate it back then. And just to give you a clue, I remember one time I was watching like my cousin play. I don't know whatever version of NCAA football was out at the time, and he was playing as Georgia Tech. And for the longest time, I was convinced that like Georgia Tech was the best team in college football because that was like I saw that and I was like, oh, the team with the fucking B, nice, like they got to be good. And then I remember when I started getting into college football, that was like a notion that I had in my head. So every time I saw Georgia Tech not doing well, I'm like, something's not adding up here. Why would my cousin play as that team if Georgia Tech wasn't the best team?
Shout out to Georgia Tech. That was the most fun about those games being younger because you had like no context to it. You're like, oh, I like these colors. Oh, I like
Yeah,
this
you were
logo.
just like,
Oh,
all right.
yeah.
Because of NCAA, that was a big reason why I decided to go to UF because I think like a lot of those games, UF was still kind of like national, top of the rankings type of status. So they were always the one with like the best stats. So I'm just like, I mean, they have to be like the best school if they obviously have the best stats. Again, like the teenage logic that you talk yourself into.
Yeah, I mean, checks out to me. Checks out to me.
Yeah, dude. But I'm excited for that. I mean, you got that coming. You got GTA 6. That's also in the works. And I feel like both of those studios have their whole legacy riding on the line with both of those games. That's going to be
Yes,
crazy.
I agree. Well, we'll see the update on because like the updates for that game are coming out fast. I mean, like all the players and the teams are announcing, I'm sure, by the next episode, which is going to be episode 20 for us. Big milestone for Sports Spectator.
Yeah, dude.
We'll be able to update everybody more.
But, yeah, dude. Can't believe it's
shall
already
we
episode
sign
20.
out?
Yes, sir. I think we about covered it all, dude. Great episode, dude. Love seeing you. Vamos Peru. I'm excited.
Vamos Peru. All right, later, guys.